Where it's found all the way from northern Syria through Turkey and then all of Europe. For example, to give you an idea, Germany is about 70% R broken down to a couple different subgroups. Okay. Ireland is 90% R, for example. So that's what the Ashkenazi Jewish community looks like.
In other words, the same.
The same.
Right. You see that difference? I mean, it's like
So small.
so small. In fact, here, let me show you. Let me add in our cousins. Who are our cousins?
Muslims.
Thank you.
Muslims.
So I'll add in all three. So there's the Sephardic Jews, there's the Ashkenazi Jews, and these are all Middle Eastern Muslims. I took out the Middle Eastern Christians when I received this from Dr. Michael Hammer, who's the professor at the University of Arizona, who did the wet work, who did the laboratory work on the Kohanim study from 1998. So those are the three groups, and to give you what an outlier looks like, I'll let you get that one real quick if you're going to take a picture of it. Now I'm going to show you what Ukraine looks like.
Wow.
So,
Ukraine being
do you see some differences?
Khazari land.
Right. So this is where the Khazars came from.
Can you go back?
This is a Middle Eastern population of Ashkenazi Jews, Sephardic Jews, and Middle Easterners. Okay, they are essentially similar. The reason that there are all these bit players here is because the Indian Ocean kind of became like a Muslim lake, and you had anywhere there was a Muslim, they could come anywhere in the Muslim world very easily. And so you've got some groups that have come over and are found in the Middle Eastern Muslim population in small percentages. They're basically southeastern
South
Asia.
South Asia.
Southern and southeastern Asia. And you've had a little bit of people moving, gene flow happens. But essentially, those three populations are similar. In almost every case, the differences are, what we call founder effect or population drift. I will admit to Dr. Sands that Sephardic at 1% and Sephardic at 4% is huge. Okay, it's 4 times. It's not insignificant. 1648 is the likely answer as to why, because rape happens. The Chalnikian crew didn't just kill Jews, but they raped some. We always know who the mother is. In Judaism, the religion follows the line of the mother for, I believe, exactly this reason, because when you're a people and you don't have a land, you get dumped on. So there's that. And to put icing on the cake of this genetic question for Dr. Sands, I tested just randomly, going out with friends in Houston, Texas. I tested what I call the 2 Steves. Steve Finkelman, whose family is from Poland and knows no other home for hundreds of years other than Poland. And then I have a friend named Steve Seka. Steve Seka says, are you kidding? We've been in Syria forever. And not only are we Syrian, but we're Halabis. We're not from Damascus. We're from Aleppo.
And they're Muslim.
And they're Jewish.
They're Jewish. Syrian Jewish. Syrian Jews.
So you've got Syrian Jews and you've got Polish Jews. And I did a DNA test on them because it showed, on the basic test, it showed they had some similarity. And when you go out to dinner with these guys, they say, well, I took your test, but I don't really take it seriously because, I matched Finkelman and he's a Polak. And wait a minute, Steve, you're some Syrian Jew, and I don't think that's fair. No, come on, he's so far away from me, we have nothing in common. So when we brought out a test about 4 years ago that sequenced the entire Y chromosome, every base, A, C, G, A, T, 25 billion base pairs long. I did a DNA test on the 2 of them because I wanted to understand why they showed up on the same match pages. What?
It's not coming up.
It's not coming. Here, hold on, let's do that. So, there you go. These 2 guys, you can see the phylogeny here. this is one guy up there, and you can see his common ancestor, not that tall, and then you can see the other guy down here. This is Steve from Poland. This is Steve from Syria. I show you the two pictures of the two individuals. These guys have now been proven as cousins approximately 60 generations ago. In other words, their common ancestor is about 400 CE. This predates the concept of Ashkenazi and Sephardic. These guys are descended from the same man. I will tell you just quickly that my son married a girl a year and a half ago and 2 years ago, and my son thought it would be a brilliant idea to do a DNA test on his father-in-law. Okay, his father-in-law and I share a common male ancestor in about 150 CE. About 1900 years ago, we both descend from the same man. Now, that's much further away than kissing cousins. I mean, this is a long, long way away, and knowing the endogamy in Jewish populations in Central Europe, I would say that we are much closer related on other lineages rather than just the Y chromosome, but I thought that was pretty interesting. So, here's the question. Who are we? Okay, well, there are Muslim Arabs. By the way, this is the most controversial thing I'll say today. There are Muslim Arabs. There are Christian Arabs. And my contention is that there are Jewish Arabs. And that's us. We came from the Middle East. That's all being an Arab means, is you came from Arabia. Okay? And Israelis, whenever I say this and I have any Israelis, and everyone walks out and leaves and a couple people clap and the Israelis are here in my face because they're offended by the term, but that's their own bias. Okay, this is a neutral thing I'm talking about because I've shown you that the cauldron with the cholent in it, whether you scoop it up and say Ashkenazi, Sephardic, or Mizrahi, or Arab, it's all the same soup. It's not the same soup as what the ladle would get if you were looking at the Ukrainians. But the people in the Middle East, it's all very, very similar. Even similar percentages. So, now, is it time to ask the ultimate political question? If we know that as Jews, okay, we are Jewish Arabs, is it time for Israel to make its application to join the Arab League? And I want you to know that when that day comes, I will be ready. And so, not from ancient Hebrews, mythically expelled from the Holy Land by the Romans, and hence those Jews are in no sense ethnic Semites of Near Eastern origin or ethnic anything else. So finally we have an opportunity to find some real historical evidence, unless perhaps you believe that this was produced in a fake antique shop.
Be clear what you're tell them what you're showing.
It's sex. Okay, this is the Arch of Titus. Who's been to Rome? Have you seen the Arch of Titus? If you ever want to hear Hebrew in Rome, go to the Arch of Titus, because there's always Israelis under the Arch of Titus. Look at this. Says this inscription records the dedication of the arch by the Senate and the people of Rome to the emperor after his victory over Judea in 70 of the Common Era. And I don't know what more Professor Sands, would want. Here's evidence historically, here's evidence genetically, and so genetic genealogy is guilt by association. Matching someone means that you have a shared heritage, even if you have no idea what your heritage is. You can learn about your genealogy, recent, we call that, recent ancestry, genealogy. You also can look at your deeper ancestry, which we call anthropology. However, if you really don't want to know the answer to the question, don't ask the question.